it's Razel. Welcome back to the hCG Diet Interviews with Everyday People. I have Heather with me today, and we're going to be talking about her experience on the P3tolife program at P3tolife.com. I've been so excited to share the many women who are stabilizing well following the program. And we're also going to hear a little bit just about her hCG journey as well. She has actually done both drops and injections, and so she's going to share the comparison there as well. So thanks for being with me, Heather.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so why don't you tell me now about your experience with the drops and the injections? Like how specifically, what were some of the things that felt different to you?
Okay, on the drops, and again, they weren't drops from any pharmaceutical company. They were just online, heard about hCG, ordered them, a cheap solution, really. And I did lose weight with them. As a matter of fact, I lost the same amount of weight as I lost with the injections, but
Sure.
I was hungry all the time. I had to exercise a lot of willpower,
Gotcha.
and I had a lot of weakness. I didn't have a lot of energy. There was definitely a difference. On the injections, I didn't have any of the hunger, and I felt normal the whole time I was on them.
Interesting.
So I like the injections a lot better.
Gotcha. Do you remember what dosage of hCG you were using with the injections?
I was doing 5 drops under my tongue 3 times a day, so I don't really know.
Yeah, but
and then
gotcha. And then for the injections though, do you remember?
Oh yeah, on the injections I was doing between 150 and 160. I think I started with 160, but then as I started to get smaller towards the end, I was having some hunger and we adjusted down.
Gotcha, good. And that's a good point. For any of you guys who are curious about the whole dosage thing, I have a post on that, hcgchica.com/dosage. And I have all kinds of, a bunch of stuff on there to help you dial in your dosage for the least hunger because like you said, when you're really hungry on the diet, it becomes very difficult. And like you said, it just becomes this huge exercise in willpower, which is kind of a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So very interesting. So with this most recent round of hCG that you did, could you share your results of weight loss from that?
Yes, I lost 28 pounds.
Nice.
I went from 172 to 144. And I feel like I'm a little bit smaller than I was before at the 144. That's usually what I stay around. I'm 5'6".
Yeah.
And even afterwards, even stabilizing was better. So I just feel like having that real hormone. I feel like I probably didn't have the real hormone with the drops.
Right.
I thought I did my research, but
yeah.
It's so hard online. You don't really know what you're getting.
Right. I know, and it is true that like even if it was, there's always the thing about if it's potent or not, because like hCG, once it's mixed, it starts losing potency over time. So like I don't know when it was mixed. It's supposed to be refrigerated once it's mixed. So it's like maybe it was real, and then I don't know,
Right. It was mailed to me already mixed.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Thinking, how long was it in the mail? And
yeah, exactly, because it's not shelf stable. Yeah,
right.
Like in a powder form, it's shelf stable,
yeah.
But once you mix it, gradually. And then also there's the absorption issue. Like that's why when you take even like for instance, you can get real prescription drops online, but you have to take like 3 times as much as an injection because it's proven that you just don't absorb nearly as much,
Right.
So that could be it too.
I think so too.
Interesting. And what is cool, my belief anyway, about using real hCG for instance, is like you said, you feel like you're smaller physically at the same weight than prior.
Yes.
And that's what makes me feel like then you probably lost more fat and less muscle.
Yes.
With this time is what I don't know. That's just kind of the conclusion.
I think so too. Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. Very cool. So you lost 28 pounds. That's awesome. What's your size change difference with your clothing with that? Do you
from a 12 to 8.
Awesome. That must feel so good. Well, let's move now into then your experience with the P3tolife program. You kind of have an interesting history. You said you've done prior P3s with some keto, doing ketogenic, and ketogenic is very popular right now, and we're definitely not downing on it at all. It's a great tool at certain times, but I just wanted to talk about your experience because you've been eating ketogenically for a period of years now.
Yes.
And just maybe talk about what you liked about it, and then talk about what ended up kind of being some downsides for you that made you want to try something different.
Well, what I liked about it was that my weight did stay constant.
Gotcha.
And keto is really good for balancing your hormones. And I have a lot of hormone issues. I have endometriosis. I have low thyroid, adrenal fatigue, just, the whole kit and caboodle of
Right.
junk that women deal with when they are my age. And so the keto helped that. It really stabilizes, it feeds your brain. I love the way my skin looked, eating all that high fat and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But you were eating such nutrient dense food at high fat, high calorie. You'd have an ounce of nuts and an ounce of cheese, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I never felt full ever. I was always like, when am I going to eat again? What am I going to eat? And you can eat higher calorie on keto. I could get away with 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day and not gain.
Yeah.
But I was at 20 carbs a day. And
Gotcha.
it's so hard. Anytime I went anywhere, I was always, what am I going to eat? What can I eat? Our family is on vacation. What can I do? Do I need to take a dozen boiled eggs with me? It was just very frustrating. And I'm not downing it because I have a cousin who has to do keto, and she lives her life that way, and it's so healing to her. But
Yeah.
I needed more. I needed more food. And so then whenever we went through some health issues, my husband got hurt at work, and I was stressed out, and I just started eating normally what normal people would eat, just what my family eats. It was such a shock to my body. I just put on almost 30 pounds.
Gotcha. So it's like because your body wasn't used to having hardly any carbs at all for so long.
Yes.
It wasn't like those carbs would have been fine for some, but for you it wasn't because you weren't used to it anymore, your body.
Right.
Gotcha.
Exactly. I could be eating 1,000 calories a day, but since there were carbs in it, even vegetable carbs, even something like spaghetti squash, I had mentioned to you in email before.
Yeah.
And we love spaghetti squash, and I could not eat it. I would be up 4 pounds the next day if I ate a 1-cup serving.
Oh my gosh.
So I could have just hardly any carbs.
Gotcha. And I'm curious, you mentioned that you kind of never felt full, and that you were able to eat like 1,800 to 2,000 calories when you would eat ketogenic without gaining weight. So when you would eat that many calories, but in a ketogenic way, like, so you're saying that you would kind of feel like you still wished you could eat more, like not full?
Right.
Even at that level?
I don't ever get a full feeling. I don't know if it's just, I think it's a mental thing. I'm always like, well, I'm seeing this tiny amount of food, so I'm like, that's not enough. Even after I'm done eating, even to this day, because I'm a food addict, I'm thinking, okay, what will I eat next? Or that's just me. That's why I have to be so careful. And since I couldn't ever have, 2 cups of food or something that would even be regular for someone else, I just was never satisfied.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that too, because it's true. We all have different personalities, and I think actually we're very similar. I can eat a lot. I out-eat my husband probably every day, and the only reason I get away with it is because I CrossFit and because of the sources of my food, And so, because the one thing I do hear people talk about with ketogenic, for some people anyway, is that when you eat ketogenic properly, that you're not hungry because you're so high fat. But it's from what you're saying, you did track accurately, like you tracked your carbs and you knew that you couldn't even eat vegetables. Because I hear some people saying that they're eating ketogenic, but then when I ask them like how they track it, they said they don't. They just eat a lot of high fat stuff. And so it's like, you know what? The ratios may not be nearly as accurate as you think then. And in that case, they may not even be in ketosis, But it sounds like you would have been. Like
I was definitely in ketosis. I tracked it. My carbs were 8 to 9% of my intake a day. My protein was 10%, and the rest was fat.
Wow. So it was like 80% fat.
Yes, 82.
And you're right. You guys, because fat is so calorie dense, I learned this when designing the P3 program. And because I also am a person that wants volume with what I eat, I was like, because for instance, we had a few ideas for making like these energy like fat bombs, right, for the plan originally.
Yes.
And she made a recipe. I paid her to make this recipe, and I looked at it and I was thinking, and I was like, to be honest, if I had this on a meal plan, I would totally overeat these. Like, I wouldn't feel content with the 2 that I'm allowed to eat for the 100 and something calories. And I feel like I would be creating a plan that would be making it easy to fail on, because I'm providing food that people aren't going to be satisfied with, And so I actually took it out of the plan and was like, I even had her make like this low carb chocolate bark and everything. And I took it out because I knew, same as you, that it would be a struggle for me. And I was like, I don't want this to be a struggle for people to stick to and to feel happy with. And that's the thing about calorie dense foods, is that it ends up just being very small volume wise, unless it's combined with a lot of higher volume, lower calorie foods, you know? So
Right.
interesting.
Hmm.
Gotcha. Well, if you were to explain to another HCG or just in a few sentences what the P3 program has, like why it's been valuable to you, just for someone else, since this is kind of a new thing, what would you tell them?
Um, the best thing about it for me was that it gave me some structure, because when you're on the LCD part of hCG, when you wake up, you know what you're going to have until you go to bed. Every day, you know exactly what you're going to have. And I'm a repetitive person. I eat the same thing for every meal on hCG the whole time I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That's easy for me, and that's what I need. I need to know what's going to happen all day long. That's my personality.
Yeah.
So then when you get onto the phase 3, you get up and you're like, I can eat anything except this, except starch. And you're like, what has starch? And it was so difficult for me. And even though I'm gluten free and I have been for years, so I don't eat bread, crackers, I don't have an issue with that at all.
Yeah.
So many things have hidden sugar in them and have starch
It's
that
true.
I didn't know it, and I was still eating those, even the vegetables. So then my solution to that was to go keto. And then I'm limiting myself to 8 or 10 core foods a day, and that's all I ate for 4 years.
Yeah.
So when you're on hCG, you're actually eating more carbs than you do on a keto diet.
Yeah.
So my bright idea was to go back on hCG again and force myself to lose weight at that 30 to 35 carbs when my body was used to 20, to tell my body you can lose weight on this. Then in the phase 3 program, that first week, you're getting more than 30 net carbs a day.
Right.
So I was really scared to do it. When I first got it, I got it the day you got it out. That was my first day of phase 3. I was like,
Wow.
oh no, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, because look at all the carbs. And I said, I'm just gonna trust this process.
Yeah.
And I did it. So I knew I'm going to eat these meals. I went to the grocery store. I got everything exactly, and I did it exactly like it was that first week, and had that amount of carbs. So it told me what I could eat. It was way different than I thought I could, because there was so much variety. And I never gained more than a
So,
pound. I
yay.
fluctuated, but never more than a pound.
Awesome.
So it gave me that structure, and it helped me step out of the box, I guess. My
Yeah.
little keto box I put myself in.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like it had a use for you at the time, and for some people it will. That's why we're not saying like, oh, ketogenic's bad at all, but just that for some who've been doing it, like you, as someone else told me the same thing, that they're sick of eating the same 10 foods and that they miss vegetables. It's like,
Uh-huh.
that's sad. Like, and I
Yes.
feel even honestly with the low carb movement before keto with myself, like I feel like I was kind of led to believe that like there's so many things that you couldn't eat, even healthy vegetables and fruits, because they're not low carb enough.
Right.
And I just realized with the development of this whole thing and seeing how well women are doing on it, that you know what, vegetables are good.
Yeah.
It's like, and yeah, and there is room for variety and flavor and taste in foods, and it can still work. So
Yes. When you're making fajitas for your family, chicken fajitas, and you can't eat it because there's too many carbs in the peppers and onions, that's a sad day. You
no.
should be able to eat that. So,
Yeah, gotcha. Aw. Well, you mentioned that because I asked you, what do you feel like the program provided you that you didn't have before in past PQs? And I guess you kind of already mentioned it, but I liked that you said that it allowed you to have a meal with your family, something that you hadn't done in years.
yes. I mean, if I was having a meal with my family, it was a cheat day, and it was something
Oh,
bad. So now I eat with them every night.
that is so awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and I wanted to tell you guys too that for people who are utilizing the phase 3 recipes and following the plan with their family, one thing other people have been doing for family members who need more carbs is they'll add in a starch that their family members will eat, like the kids and the husband and stuff, and then you're eating the P3 meal, but it's still overall like a family meal. So that can be a
Right.
nice thing.
And that's
Gotcha.
what I did. Just made extra sides, because my
Got.
whole family did this.
That's
Because I'm
great.
not cooking two different things.
Yeah.
I told my mom was recovering from a heart attack, and she needed to be eating very healthy anyways.
Gotcha.
And we all just did it together. And my son works out very heavily and is into bodybuilding. So I just put some rice on the side or something for him.
Great.
So
Well,
it was good.
since you ended up cooking these meals for more of your family members, I mean, how did everyone end up liking the food and such? Because there definitely is a large variety in flavor profiles of the dishes and such. Like, and like I know you made a few substitutions and stuff, but overall, how was it for you?
Everyone liked everything.
Cool.
So my son was terrified of spaghetti squash. He thought he would
It's
die
like,
if he ate it.
what is
So
that orange thing?
So I made him some regular noodles on the side. I said, you
Yeah.
don't have to eat it, but we already like spaghetti squash.
Cool.
We aren't mushroom fans, so I substituted that with the cauliflower
Yeah.
rice. But everyone liked everything.
Awesome.
And I was really surprised. Like I think I told you on the curry, I said, oh, no, are we going to like this? And we loved it.
Great.
And we were going nuts over those, the chicken fritters. We loved those. My mom was like, will you make those again?
Oh, good.
Everything was really great. So.
That's so good. Yeah, I wanted there to be that variety so that long term, you would always feel like there was something that you could make that would be pleasing, that so that you don't feel like you're like eating on a diet or something, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Very cool. So can you just share specifically then your final results with following the program? What were your results then?
Well, I did phase 3 for 4 weeks because I know my body and it's sensitive and it loves to gain weight. So in that whole entire time, I never had to do a correction day. And I think 25 out of those 28 days, I was within 1 pound of my last injection weight. There were just a couple of days that I went up, I think like 1.8.
Yeah.
But the next day I was down. So that was probably hormonal, really,
Right.
if I think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, within a pound. So.
That is fantastic. Now, on the few occasions that you did have a little larger gain than usual, because that's something that can make us feel nervous and stuff, how did you handle that the next day? Like, did you just keep following the plan, or did you eat a little cleaner, or how did you feel? I'm just curious.
I said it's not more than 2 pounds.
Right.
So I just tried to make sure I drank more water that day,
Sure.
maybe measure my stuff just a little bit more closely.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of a believer in if you have a bad day, be careful for 3 days. So
Yeah.
I said, I'm not going to do a correction. I'm just going to kind of be careful and
Yeah.
make sure I follow it exactly.
Yeah.
But I never was tempted like with a piece of candy or anything like that. So it wasn't that I had eaten something I needed to eliminate.
Yeah.
I think it was just,
Right.
hormone.
Yeah, well, we do have those natural fluctuations. Like you said, that was a good idea to drink more water, because sometimes if we get a little dehydrated, or we can retain water, and it's very easy, But sometimes we can panic ourselves, like when we're not used to those scale fluctuations, and you're like, what does that mean? So
Yeah. Well, I'm just really used to it. So
you're like, I'm used to that.
I can fluctuate 5 pounds in a night.
Gotcha.
Especially if it's, this middle of my cycle or something. So
Right. Gotcha.
I just try to suck it up and go.
Just hang in there.
Yeah.
Cool. And then how did you feel about just like the portion sizes and stuff like that with the food?
They were great because it was so much more food than I'm used to eating.
Yeah.
I'll still never forget when, and I think I messaged you when I had the spaghetti squash and meatballs. I was like, tomorrow's going to be bad. I'm going to have to do a correction day. There's no way this is going to work, because I had a full cup of spaghetti squash and I just knew how it had affected me before. And, every day my mom had to weigh herself and send it in to the nurses because she had heart surgery. So I got on and weighed with her. I didn't send it to the nurses though, but the stupid scale tells your whole family how much you weigh. It says it out loud. And I could have cried because I didn't gain anything. I didn't have a fluctuation at all.
Wow.
And I'm like, I ate spaghetti squash. My husband and son are like, what is going on in here?
Why does this matter?
Like, you don't get it. But normally that would have been a 3 pound gain for me. And
Wow.
I was satisfied that night, and the sauce was so good. Everything was just so good. I had a real meal.
Cool.
And I was so excited.
Oh.
It's so stupid, but when you're a person that can't really eat,
Yeah.
it's exciting.
No, it's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, food tastes good for a reason. It's like, I think it was meant to be something that we could enjoy and not be punished by,
Right.
So, I'm so glad to hear that. That's so funny. It says it out loud.
Yes, it says your weight is blah blah blah. And you're like la la la.
That's good. Yeah, and I thought it was nice to hear you say that too, because since you mentioned that you're a person who doesn't feel full very easily, and that you struggle with, like, you want volume and stuff, and so this overall, the whole program then kind of was doable despite that?
Absolutely, because I could see, oh, I can actually have this. I can have more than 600 or 700 or 800 calories this day.
Yeah.
I felt like I was having more than I would normally have let myself in that first week.
Yeah.
Because I'm so scared of losing the weight. I probably go the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then I'm not eating enough. And that's why my scale is fluctuating.
Gotcha.
So it just gave me some guidelines. And I said, I'm just going to stick with this. And I did. And it worked. So.
Cool.
And then as week 1 worked, then I was able to feel comfortable adding more in week 2 and so forth.
Cool.
And it was a really stressful time in my life with my mom having a heart attack and all of that. So normally on a stressful time, one, I would down half a jar of peanut butter in a day because that is my trigger food.
Oh.
Our peanut butter jar is currently hidden in my son's room, so I can't access it.
Smart.
And that'll be, I mean, I need to go to like Peanut Butter Anonymous. That'll be my thing forever. I'm such an addict to it. It's
PBA.
Yes, I don't know why it doesn't exist, but maybe I need to start a chapter here in Oklahoma. But since I had something to look at, and since I had those little squares, I like stuff to be outlined. I could see what I'm going to eat. It was there. I could mark off when I ate something. It was therapeutic for me, and it kept me on track, even though I was stressed and worried about my mom.
Good.
So I needed that.
Oh, good. I'm glad. You know what? I hear you on the peanut butter thing because I wouldn't say it's like my trigger food, but if I start eating it, I will eat too much. Like I'll get one spoonful and then I'll go get another spoon and get another spoonful and then I'll totally overdo it. Like so I don't eat it too often because I just can't seem to control myself.
Yes, it's if I am nervous or stressed or sad or happy or afraid or relaxed, all I can think about is I need peanut butter.
I need peanut butter.
I need some peanut butter. Better.
Oh my goodness, that's too funny. I'm also curious. So, did you end up trying the P3 dessert smoothies then? Did you end up doing those, or no?
I did them, but I am a weird person. I don't like cold stuff.
Oh, so then that wouldn't work for you.
I don't eat ice cream.
Gotcha.
I don't eat snow cones ever. But I did the recipes with almond milk.
Yeah.
And a little bit of ice to make like a smoothie. So I loved how they tasted. So it ended up being a little more calories, not a lot because it was almond milk. So I definitely used those as a treat.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it with the ice just because I don't eat anything.
Right. Cold. No, that's just your little thing. Yeah. And then you actually mentioned something about the mug breads. How did you utilize those?
Yes. Okay. So since I was keto, I hadn't had anything cake-like or bread-like in so many years. And I saw the mug bread and I was like, oh, it's not going to work. But I made it and I had zero fluctuation.
Cool.
So I started having them every day and it was really good for the fiber because it's good just to regulate your system because when you're keto, you have a lot of trouble with that too.
Oh.
So I was taking a mug bread to work every day for lunch and adding a scoop of protein powder and just an extra tablespoon of almond milk.
Yeah.
And that's what I have for lunch every day at work.
Nice.
Because I just take the cup, put it in the fridge, and then throw it in the microwave. And it's perfect.
Great.
It's so easy to eat, and I feel like I'm having something. I feel like I'm a big cheater.
I'm a big cheater.
Right.
Nothing bad happens after. How's that work?
Yeah.
That's great. You know, I might actually add that tip to the lesson on mug breads in the program. So you said with the recipe, you take it and then you add 1 scoop of protein powder and then like a tablespoon more of liquid. Is that what you said?
Yes, I added just a tablespoon size scoop, so I'm only getting a half a serving on my protein powder. But it adds 10 grams of protein.
Yeah. Okay, so about a tablespoon of protein powder. Extra.
Yes.
Cool.
And then a tablespoon of almond milk to make up because it was dry without that extra.
Yeah.
So just the extra tablespoon though. Oh. So then I was getting a high fiber and higher protein lunch, and it keeps me full until I get home.
Oh, that's so good. I actually noticed the same thing about the mug breads when we were doing them and creating them. Is I would eat one. Because actually I hadn't really been eating much flaxseed before then for a while. And then when I ate them, I was like, whoa, these are really filling. I was surprised.
Yeah.
So, because I'm like you, and I could just eat till the cows come home, and it's going to take me quite a while before I'm like, so full that I'm uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Interesting. That's very cool. Well, I think we kind of covered just about everything here. You already covered this, but just were there any positive results from following the plan that surprised you? Because I think, like you said, when you saw it, you're like, oh, this is going to be too many carbs, even though it's technically low carb, but it looks like more than what most of us are expecting to see. So just what was the main thing in a nutshell that surprised you about following it?
Well, again, I sound like a broken record, but my body could have those carbs.
Yeah.
That I could just eat them and live a more normal life and not gain.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I actually think maybe you mentioned it, just the fact that the hard thing about ketogenic is it's almost like hCG in a way, where if you're in ketosis, it's great, but that
Mm-hmm.
you're, as soon as you have one meal or whatever, you can kind of be out of it,
Yes.
and it kind of messes things up, right?
Yeah, it'd be like if you cheat on hCG, you pay for it for 3 days.
Yeah.
That's how it is for keto.
Yeah.
So
So
I
it's
had
just a hard
gotten
way to live, huh?
yes, I'd gotten to where I would cheat on Sundays, every Sunday, so we could go out to eat after church or whatnot, and then I would have to make up for it, and it would be the next Saturday morning till my weight was back
Oh,
on
wow.
keto.
Gosh.
So that's not, your body's never stable at that point.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult, and I think that's why I gained the weight back so easily. But I just knew when I did hCG, I didn't want to go through that again. I didn't want to have to be so strict on myself and always wondering, what am I going to eat? Well, I can't go with you guys because there's nothing mom can eat, and it's 12 hours. I need food.
Yeah.
So even though we both know I had a jar of peanut butter in the glove box, but still.
Well, it just sounds like you're finding like a healthier way to like live and be with your family and to eat in a way that's like sustainable long term, that
Yes.
still allows you to maintain your weight. Because I think that's the struggle, right? It's like we all want to find that, but then sometimes we'll like be like, well, just screw it. I'm just gonna do this because I don't like not having a life. But then it's to the detriment of our body, and then we can't actually maintain, and we gain 20 pounds again.
Yes.
So if we can
and
find,
I am a person very focused on my weight, and I couldn't be happy,
right.
and
Yeah.
I ride on the back of my husband's Harley, and I couldn't be comfortable, and that's what I like to do.
Aww.
And if your jeans are cutting into your stomach, you're miserable.
Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot, I have to be at a certain weight to be happy, and I know that.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's my responsibility to keep myself at that weight. If it's
Right.
going to affect my life and my kids' life and my relationship and my motorcycle ride, it's my responsibility to find out what works for me. So
Right.
this, I feel like it made that box of what works for me, made it a lot bigger by doing
Good.
the P3 program.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you for that. And I actually really like what you said about like you know what you need to do to be happy and to enjoy the other things in life. I like that because I feel like that's kind of what I've had to learn too, because how we are does affect our family members, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember
Yeah.
when I was overweight, part of it was because I had a binge eating disorder that was very distracting, and I had no control over it, and so it just took up a lot of my my thoughts during the day, even when I was with my family. So it was kind of like I was present physically, but not really there fully.
Right. And you don't enjoy those moments.
Yeah,
all
and
you're
then they're gonna be
someone's looking at you or
yeah,
whatever.
and they're gonna sense that, you know, they're gonna be aware of that, and so that's like the same thing like you. There's certain things that I'm very strict about keeping up on. Like I fast on occasion. If I overdo it a day here and there, I always catch things to keep my body where it's at, and I do my CrossFit just because I know what a big impact it has for me just keeping my body where it's at, and how free it leaves me for the rest of my life, you know, to focus on other things.
Yes, if you don't have to worry about that,
Yeah.
it's a huge chunk of relief, really.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that. Just in closing, is there any other last thoughts, just as far as your experience with following the program, that for others who might be considering giving it a try coming off of phase 2?
Well, I just recommend it because I think I said when I answered the questions, hCG is hard. Not just, I mean, you may not be hungry, but for me, for someone that's never full or always hungry, it doesn't matter if you're physically hungry. It's emotionally hard. And if you get through those 40 days and you've lost that weight and you've bought that new pair of pants and you've spent that money, it's just ridiculous if it's not going to stay off. You know, it's hard, especially me doing this 4 times in the past 6 years. I've done hCG, and you don't want to have to do it again. You want to keep it off.
Right.
So since I never could stabilize properly, I feel like I wasted all those times that I did hCG, wasted the emotional stress that it is.
Yeah.
And I just felt like this program, I just effortlessly maintained.
So cool.
You know, I just felt like I wasn't on a program, like I was just living life and sitting at the counter eating food with my family like a regular old mom.
Oh, I love
And I
that.
didn't gain any weight. So it makes it worth it. And it's a financial investment too when you do hCG. You don't want to waste your money.
Right.
So I feel like a phase 3 program was just long overdue. I feel like it was missing from the original, from Dr. Simeon's and everything, because if you just set people loose and say, eat whatever you want, just don't eat starch. That's not happening, Dr. Simeon. We don't know what we're doing. You need a plan. You need some training wheels before you get on your two-wheeler.
Yeah, that's true. I know.
And that's what it is.
Yeah, it's funny because, I think, weight loss, that part of it, it's the fun part in a sense. And I think for a long time, that's why there hasn't been P3. Like, to be honest, when I started creating the P3 program, I wasn't sure how much interest there would be. I was like, I don't know. I could spend all this time making this and then maybe not too many people care enough about. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to put some faith in it because I know that I wanted to stabilize, and I bet women do. But it's just not the fun part. So I think not as many people have put that attention on it. I'm glad that we can have something structured, and I'm so glad that it's working for people. And even for you, like, I just want to say for anyone else, because it sounds like for you that you did have a little bit of a process for getting your body readjusted to carbs coming off of ketogenic. So if you're on ketogenic, you might want to follow her example. Like, you made sure you had the fruits in phase 2, right?
Yeah.
To adjust your body to losing weight while having some carbs.
Yes.
That was
I made sure I didn't go below that 28 or 30 that it totals a day with your apple and all your greens and everything.
Smart.
Even if I didn't feel like I was hungry for them, I made myself, because I was trying to tell my body, I'm the boss of you, you're not the boss of me. We're going to eat these carbs, you're still going to lose weight.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I did. And then in, phase 3, I made sure 40, 50, 60 carbs, working up in that 3-week period and not gaining weight. So my goal is to be able to eat 100 carbs a day, which is still probably a low carb diet.
Yeah, it is.
But for me, it's like
huge.
So yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, if I could do that and not have much of a fluctuation, I could live the rest of my life like that.
Awesome.
Compared to how I lived before. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, because essentially I think that's the way that I eat. Like, I thought, like, before I started counting, I thought, like, oh, well, because I do eat carbs now, in phase 4, and I CrossFit, and I even eat French fries at a restaurant sometimes, and I eat corn tortillas. So I had thought that I ate more carbs than I did, because once I started tracking it, I realized, like, actually, once everything is said and done, I'm really only having a real main carb that's not like like a lower carb vegetable, like once a day. So it still ends up being like 100 or less, and that is still technically considered lower carb.
Right.
So I just thought that was interesting. We don't always know what we're eating until we track something, what it actually is.
Yeah. Yes, and even now in phase 4, I'm using those phase 3 recipes a lot, just kind of modifying them, because I will catch myself thinking, oh, I'm just going to have some almonds and cheese for lunch. Because I was so used to that keto, and I'm like, I'm still trying to use the phase 3 as a guideline to remind myself to eat carbs so my body doesn't revert back to that.
Good, yeah.
So I have it in a little notebook on my counter, and it's always out.
Good.
I need a reminder.
Good. Well, I can't wait till the week 4 to 6 recipes are out. It's going to take me a little while, but once I do, you'll be able to have all those.
Oh, I will love that.
New choices. So
that'd be great.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Heather. I really appreciate it. Yeah, and I hope
nice to talk to you and meet you.
Yeah, and I hope your stabilization or your maintenance just keeps going well. And that's awesome how you told your body who's boss. So
that's right. I'm the boss of you.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Razel. Nice talking to you.